Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're having a very good day. So finally, it's the end of the month. Well, almost, not really. I won't be posting up any videos next week because I'll be away in New York City, which I'm very excited for. If you guys have any tips and or things I should check out in New York, definitely let me know in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts. But anyways, let's just get started with this video. You guys know what's going on. Annotations are at the bottom of the video, so feel free to click on any of the links to jump to that specific review. So let's get started with my first book review, and that's A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. This is the first book in a Song of Ice and Fire series, which I absolutely adore. So let's just skip over the synopsis because I would just be spoiling other aspects of the other books, and I don't want to do that at all. So let's talk about the characters. My favorite perspective in A Feast for Crows was Brienne, the Maid of Tarth. I absolutely adore her chapters. We get to know more about Brienne's backstory. There's also a lot of action in her chapters, which I really liked. There is kind of a cliffhanger kind of ending toward the end of the book, and I'm super interested in knowing what happens to her. As far as my least favorite character, that would have to go to Cersei Lannister. She takes paranoia to the next level. So we get to see her spiral out of control, and it's amazing and annoying at the same time. As far as the other characters, the Stark sisters are holding their ground. They're persevering on their own way, and I'm really enjoying Arya and Sansa's chapters a whole lot. There were a lot more minor characters introduced in A Feast for Crows, including the Martells and the Greyjoys. The Greyjoys are intense, and I think the Greyjoys are at the beginning stages of being power players within this Game of Thrones. So we'll see how things fare for them in the future books. Next, guys, let's talk about the plot in A Feast for Crows. It's definitely slower paced compared to A Storm of Swords for sure. I thought Brienne's chapters held a lot of the action scenes within the book. Along with the action, there's of course a lot more political drama going on, as well as family drama. There is conflict going on within the Martells as well as within the Greyjoys, and of course the Lannisters and the Starks are doing their own thing. As far as some of the surprises I encountered, they were mainly in regards to some of the main characters, and you kind of find out through third-party characters what has happened to them, and it's like, what? They're dead? Why? So until I read A Dance for Dragons, I'm just gonna be in a total state of denial and just like ignore that until I read A Dance for Dragons. So we'll see how that goes. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give A Feast for Crows 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's slower paced. A few of the perspectives I wasn't too interested in, maybe because they're just new characters. I'm really looking forward to the next book, A Dance for Dragons, with all of our other main characters, Tyrion, Daenerys, Jon Snow, what's going on with them. So my next book review for you guys is The Magicians by Mr. Lev Grossman. Let's talk about what the story is all about. Our main character is Quentin Coldwater. He gets accepted into Breakbill's Academy, which is this elite college of magic. The book actually spans quite a few years, so we get to see him learn magic at the school, and we get to see what he uses his magic for after graduation. I thought the world was fantastic. I thought the world building was great, but the characters, let's talk about the characters for a minute in The Magicians. First of all, Quentin Coldwater, as well as his friends, they are referred to as the physical kids at Breakbill's Academy, and that includes Alice, as well as Elliot and Josh and Janet, and I did not like these characters, guys. I'm sorry. I really should do a discussion video on flawed characters, because I don't know what makes me feel more empathetic towards certain flawed characters than others. These characters would fall in the latter. I did not feel much empathy or sympathy for these characters. Yes, Quentin, you are a bad person and you should feel bad. Quentin, also known as Q, I thought he had a sense of self-entitlement. I thought he was self-absorbed. I thought he was a sore loser. Overall, he just had a bad attitude for the majority of the book, and I couldn't stand it. But this is a first book in a series, so I'm hoping that there will be a greater transformation in the next books. I don't know. So those were my feelings towards the characters. But other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed the story, and the plot progression and the world building was freaking fantastic. As far as the plot progression, I thought the pacing was very well paced. It kind of reminded me, sorry, anime reference, Art Sword Online, where we jump from one year to another and just more important aspects of Q's schooling. So it kind of reminded me of Harry Potter schooling condensed all in one book, and so we jump from year to year. We really get to see what these students endure each year, and I thought that was really great. My favorite part in the book, the most intense part, I won't get into the specifics of it because I want you guys to encounter it, but when Q plays a practical joke on one of his professors and just things go awry. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give The Magicians by Lev Grossman 3.5 out of 5 stars as well. It would have easily been 4 or 4.5 stars if I liked the characters more, but on the world building and plot alone, it was just freaking amazing. I was so into it. People have compared The Magicians to an adult Harry Potter, and I would have to agree with that. It does reference Harry Potter, but I think there are elements of The Magicians that parallel the Chronicles of Narnia. Even though I haven't read the books, I know I need to get on that. And The Magicians does incorporate mature themes such as language and violence and sex, etc. So overall, I really liked the story. It was quite condensed for what it was, and I thought the pacing of it was really well done. My next book review for you guys is The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, and this is by Juno Diaz. Thank you everyone for helping me pronounce his name. I was unsure and I didn't want to pronounce it wrong. Anyways, let's get right into what the story is all about. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. It's a story about family, perseverance, and love. So it wasn't as nerdy as I was expecting it to be. That nerdiness is all on Oscar. He was fantastic, but it was more about family. Let's talk about the characters first, guys. First of all, Oscar, oh my gosh, I absolutely adored Oscar as a character. He was so nerdy. His dialogue was hilarious, unintentionally so. He has an older sister, Lola, and she says in the book, "Oscar, do you hear yourself talking?" And Oscar replies, "All the time," because how he talks reflects how he writes and what he loves, and that's fantasy and sci-fi, and has this formal quality to it, which I thought was absolutely amazing, and he was so funny. Oscar is very timid around the ladies. One of the big aspects about Oscar's character is that he wants to be loved romantically, and he wants to love, and he's having a difficult time in that regard. Oscar loves the Lord of the Rings, and there's lots of Lord of the Rings references within the story, and I thought that was a lot of fun. And so another character is Lola, his older sister, who is quite the opposite of his character. She is more confident and she's rebellious, but she loves Oscar so much. I thought the dynamics between Oscar and Lola was really great. I could really identify with their relationship. There's also Oscar's mom, who is tough as nails. She is a BAM. She's a badass MF. As I read her story, it was devastating, and you know, there's heartache there, but she persevered. There's a good chunk of the book about Oscar's mom, and I thought it was very compelling, and we get to learn the origin of the Fuku and this curse that Oscar or their family believes that is haunting them, and this originates with Oscar's grandparents. And in learning about Oscar's grandparents, I really learned about what was going on in the Dominican Republic. Oh my goodness, I was compelled by the history of the Dominican Republic, specifically what was going on in the story. I didn't think it was something I would be interested in, but how it was written and how it connects this family, I really got into it. I thought that aspect of the book was amazing. And as far as the writing is concerned, I really liked it. There are no quotation marks around the dialogue, so that took me a while to get used to. Also, there's a lot of Spanish words throughout the story, and some moments I didn't know what was being said, but other moments I could kind of pick up and guess what they were referring to, so hopefully I understood correctly. Also, the footnotes, those were more in regards to the history of Trujillo and the Dominican Republic, and I thought those were super interesting. Juno Diaz was able to explain it really clearly in an entertaining way. With that being said, guys, I'm going to give The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde 4 stars out of 5. You know, at the beginning of the book, it was at 3 star, and then as I read more and more, it climbed higher and higher. There are some mature themes, violence, language, sex, etc. I don't know if it'll be for everybody, but I thought it was a very compelling read, so definitely check it out if you're interested. Alright, my last book review for you guys. Dun, dun, dun. It's The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. Oh my gosh. much. Let's talk about what the fifth wave is all about. The world is pretty much at a standstill since the arrival of the freaking aliens. Aliens, guys! I didn't realize this book was about aliens. Humanity is nearly extinct, and Cassie, she is surviving on her own, and she has personal rules for herself to stay alive. And when she breaks one of those rules, when she encounters another person, things get pretty crazy from there. So that's kind of a vague synopsis of what the fifth wave is all about. Next, let's talk about the characters. I thought Cassie was sassy. She had a great sense of humor amongst this really dark period. Cassie, I also thought, was unnecessarily mean. There are definitely some flaws with her character, but there was great character development along the way. There's another main character, I'll refer to him as Zombie. Zombie is basically grouped with other misfits, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of Attack on Titan. Yes, I've been watching Attack on Titan, and it's amazing. There's also Evan Walker, who is annoyingly and suspiciously perfect, as well as Ringer, another one of the misfits with the Zombies group, and she is a perfectionist as well, and very logical. She is quite the soldier, so I thought she was really cool. Basically have a group of lovable misfits trying to save the world, which is an amazing premise. So there's a lot of familiar tropes and cliched kind of characters, but it gets me every time. Next, guys, let's talk about the plot of the fifth wave. Aliens. Like I said, I didn't know it was about aliens, and I thought it was pretty realistic how everything went down with the different waves, especially when the mothership took out all the electricity, disconnect the internet, make people disconnected, and people will panic really quickly. For the most part, I thought it was particularly fast-paced, lots of action scenes, especially of course towards the end of the book. As far as the writing is concerned, I love Rick Yancey's writing. I do. I thought the inner dialogue with these certain characters were spot on with their personalities. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey 4 stars out of 5. I really like the book a whole lot. Full of action, lots of sci-fi goodness. There was a predictability factor with one of the characters, but it didn't really sidetrack from the overall story. It really got intense at the very beginning of the book. It kind of sets up for the kind of violence and intensity throughout the rest of the book. So those are my book reviews, guys. I hope they were helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of the books, what you thought of them. That is everything. I will talk to you later, and have a very good one. Bye.